What's up, YouTube? We in Springfield, Illinois today. I'm currently on a mission to helping out a little driver. So he got his truck down. Getting him to jump real quick. But in the meantime, what I want to talk about was being involved with your money. So what do I mean by being involved with your money? I'm talking about asking for your rates, knowing how to get your layover pay, and things like that. So let me try to be a little bit more organized about how I'm approach this. First thing we want to talk about is requesting your rates. You guys need to be requesting your rates. Why do you need to request your rates? Prime example. I'm gonna give you an example from what happened to me this week. Right? They told me that they was gonna pay me a certain amount of money for a load. Okay, I get my check, and they were below par on what they told me they were gonna pay me. So now I can go back and say, hey, look, this is what y'all owe me. This is what y'all said you was gonna pay me. But when I get my check, this ain't what we agreed to. So that was almost like a $200 difference right there. So if you guys are not knowing what you're supposed to get paid, how can you check your check? You know, look at your check and be like, make sure everything is accurate when you never knew how much you're supposed to get paid in the first place. You know what I mean? So if she told you $300 for the load, in my case, I had a really nice paying load, right? It was a really nice paying load. If I would have got my check and looked at it, I would have thought that I got paid correctly. Even though the load paid exceptionally well, it didn't pay enough. But if I wouldn't have knew what you told me, I'd have took that money and been okay with it, right? So I went back to the RAN. I said, hey, you told me it was this, that, and the third, but this is what y'all gave me. Even though the pay rate is good, I still like the pay rate, but this ain't what we agreed to. And it was $178 off, right? So, you know, you need to know your pay rate. And throughout the week, you need to be writing down what you need to communicate through the RAN so you have proof. So when that check comes up, you need to be able to compare what you was told to what you're getting. And it should all match up. And if there's any kind of discrepancies, you can always go back to that RAN and say, this is what you told me right here. All right? Now, how do you request the rate? All you got to do is send don't send that form in to your dispatcher by themselves. Don't do that. Don't send it. If whoever your dispatcher is going to give you an option to send it to the dispatcher, or it's going to give you an option to send a free form. Always send a free form. Because the free form goes to several different people, several different eyes on that free form. If you send it to your dispatcher, they're the only one that can see it. They can just shrug you off. A lot of times I get shrugged off when I send it to my dispatcher. But when I send that free form in, it's hot. I get a reply. All right? So all you got to do is send it in a free form. You're going to put the load number, and you're just going to say, rate, please. That's it. And they should be sending you the rate every single time. Right? Okay, so another thing you need to do is you need to calculate the miles and the deadhead. Because a lot of times, they're not going to want to, a lot of times, they will send you out and you'll be running 4 or 5 hours. I've done it. I did 5-hour deadheads and I didn't even make $200. Right? When I first started, I've only been there 4 months. But it didn't take me long to figure out. Yeah, you need to kind of be involved with what you're doing here. So what I would do is I'm going to type in the address to what they're giving me and the address to where I'm, the pickup to the drop off. Let's say it's 300 miles, 300. Then I'm going to add the miles from where I'm at currently to where I got to pick it up at. Let's say it's 150 miles. So that's 450 miles. 300 plus, that's 450 miles, right? So how do you know if you're getting a fair rate of that? Because a lot of times, boys going to want to just pay you for the loaded miles. And what I noticed about it, now you can't always negotiate that because stuff's not going to be right across the street. But if you get a crazy deadhead, so 150 miles, It's not really crazy. But sometimes they'll have me like, I don't win 5 hours before I picked up something and then get compensated for it. Well, it didn't take me long to start, being like, hell no. You know what I'm saying? So, in that case, you can use that as a negotiating factor, right? Because they should be paying you for that. Now, 100-some miles, that's okay. You gotta go 2 hours to get it, that's okay. When I start knocking on that 3.5, that 4 hours, maybe even that 3-hour mark, I might even start saying a little something to them. You know what I'm saying? And getting compensation for it. So the best I've gotten is probably like 50 cents per mile on the deadhead, on maybe a certain amount of deadhead or something like that. So they, if you say something, you might be able to get a little cover, get a little coverage, man. So it's all about kind of like I said, being involved with your money. Another thing I want to touch on, getting money for layovers, getting money for detention pay. When you guys, why is it so important for you to put in a RAN that you arrived at your shipper, you arrived at your cons? The reason it's so important is because now you can request detention pay if they're taking too long. If you're sitting somewhere for 4 hours, you need to get paid for that. But if you do not put that stuff in and say you arrive there as soon as you get there, because they're going off that time. They ain't going off the time that you said. They're going off the time that you put in the RAN. As soon as I pull up, first thing I'm gonna do, I arrived here. So when they get the trip after an hour, after 1 hour, I'm saying we have a delay. Because at that 2 hour mark, you start getting paid. So either I need to go ahead and get up out of here, I need to call them and tell them I'm out here, or we need to start getting ready to start rolling into some detention pay, right? So you need to be keeping track of that. All right, so as soon as you get to your cons and your shipper, you need to be putting inside your paper, put inside the RAN that you're arriving at these places so you can get paid properly. All right. Another thing, if you're sitting and you're waiting on a load and you waited the majority of the day, they owe you $200. Okay. In my case, they got me a load at 3 o'clock in the evening, right? I've been sitting all day. You got me a load, but I wasted my whole day. That's $200. And make sure you get it. Right? Make sure you get it. Don't just assume they're going to give it to you, because they're not. They're not going to give it to you. Hold on, y'all. You don't want to start? Okay. Cool. Nah, you don't be nothing, man. Nah, we good. Nah, we good, man. You all right? Sure? Yes, sir. All right. Thank you so much. No problem, man. All right, so this truck gonna start. But yeah, so basically all that little stuff every week adds up for me. So yeah, my check probably is about almost $1,100 after taxes a week. And I'm home every weekend. I don't stay out. Right. Hold on, y'all.
Will I pick back?
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. Right. It's all good, man. Yeah, man. So he was trying to buy me some or whatever, man, for helping him out, man. But shit, I was just like, you know what? Even though I didn't feel like doing it, I was like, man, I want nobody to do me like that. So let me go on out here and help this guy out. But the truck won't start. So. Anyway, but yeah, man, I just want to touch on a few points with you. I know a couple of you guys, I know for a fact you guys are leaving money on the table. I know that for sure. Because there's too many of y'all doing it. You're not asking for your rates. So basically, how can you argue about you missing money if you never knew how much you was going to get paid? You know what I'm saying? That's the important, man. Y'all got to know those rates. So how do I calculate how much I'm supposed to get paid? What I usually do is I do something simple. I do like, let's say it's 400 miles. I'm gonna split it down the middle and say 200. They're usually gonna come in a little bit under that, right? Let's say it's 50 cents a mile, so you're gonna come in a little bit under that. So if it's 400-mile run, you should be getting about close to 200. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a bad example, but let's say like a 600-mile run. You should be coming in close to $300. Plus tarping, you would add on the 25. If you have the deadhead even further than that, you gotta start knowing how to factor in that stuff too and negotiate. And if the rate ain't right, and I think Nick even talked about this. And Nick even said this in orientation. He said, don't move that truck until you get that rate. So if you're not asking for the rate and you ain't looking at what you're supposed to be getting paid, and then calculating the miles, man, yeah, you're doing it wrong. So, and trust me, they're gonna pull it. They're gonna pull it. They've already been pulling on a lot of you guys, but you know, I've kind of got hip to it, and I even had to turn down some loads. You know, they didn't let me turn it down, but they renegotiated. I said I ain't necessarily turning it down, but you know, you want me to drive for 5 hours, then you gonna drive for 5 hours loaded, but you want me to drive 4 hours not loaded and not pay me for the 4. That's a 9-hour drive total. Well, yeah, hell no. So, yeah, man, it's important for y'all to just be involved with your money. Write down what you're getting paid. Look over your check stubs. Make sure you're getting your detention pay. Make sure you're getting your layover pay, because all this stuff gonna make a difference for your check. My last check was short almost $400 damn. But if I would have knew how to go in there and say, look, this is what y'all owe me for this load. This is what y'all owe me for layover. How could I even know? Almost $400 right there, and this happens quite a bit. So I'm telling you, if you're not doing none of that stuff, your ass is leaving money on the table. I promise you are. I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you every week your ass is missing some money. All right. So I just wanted that had kind of been on my mind because it had been happening so much to me, and I have been seeing guys out here not even knowing what they're getting paid. That's crazy. It's kind of like shit. You go work at a job, you don't even ask how much you're getting paid. Like, y'all should be knowing how much you're getting paid for every load. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about, man. So, if y'all got any questions, if I forgot to cover something or whatever, man, y'all reach out and holler at me, man. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. But, you know, oh, one more thing too. I made a video about how much my pay was. My pay that was a little off. I had a guy jump in the comments and he was correct. My checks are about $1,100. You probably gonna gross net. I can net about $1,100, depending on what state you stay in. Some states be whacking y'all ass, man. I ain't gonna lie. Like I know Arkansas be whacking ass on taxes, man. I'm in Texas, man, so we don't have no state tax and all that kind of shit. Or whatever it is, I don't know, whatever it is that Arkansas had, but with 4 loads every week, plus the layovers or detention pay and all that extra stuff added in, I can probably clear 1,100 take home, around 11, high 10, 11. That's without me staying out. But since I have changed dispatchers, I have been getting a lot of little short runs, but I've still been able to clear, around that 1,100 mark. But it's been with a lot of detention pay and stuff like that, making sure I get it. Right? It ain't just been a clean cut 4 loads, 1,100. It's been like, man, you owe me for this, then the third. Like you gotta stick it to them, but they're gonna put it to you. They're gonna put it to your ass. So you better put it to them, man, for real. I ain't saying trying to get over nobody, but you need to be getting paid what you deserve. And that's it, man. But that's enough of my little rant and rave. I hope everybody have a good day, have a blessed day. And I'm out this thing, man.